So today's video is the latest installment of our Thermaltake sponsored build series, and today we're taking a look at the company's latest ITX case, the TR100. It's a portable case with a small footprint. It supports big graphics cards, up to 280mm AIO coolers, ITX motherboards and SFF power supplies. It's also available in several different colour schemes, including black, white, blue, pink and this matcha green, which we've chosen for this theme. So the whole purpose of this video is to feature the build in this TR100, but because this is a new case and because I know there's a lot of ITX and small form factor enthusiasts that watch this channel, I want to take a look at this case quickly before we get on to the build. So you can purchase the TR100 now. It is available in all those different colours, including snow white, bubble pink, hydrangea blue, mint strawberry and matcha green. You can pick up the matcha green from Scan now, priced at £110. The TR100 is a dual chamber Mini-ITX chassis aimed at users who need performance and portability, with its 18.4 litre capacity and small footprint providing flexibility for work and gaming setups. It supports ITX motherboards, SFF power supplies, 220 or 140mm fans, up to a 280mm AIO CPU cooler with ventilated panels for optimal cooling, and a 3.9-inch LCD screen kit and carrying suitcase that can be bought separately. TR100 is also equipped with easy access tool-free modular panels, removable dust filters on intake panels, and a handy front I/O with audio, 2 USB Type A and 1 Type C port. So as you can see, it is quite a compact Mini-ITX small form factor case with dimensions of 294 by 197 by 391mm, 18.4 litre capacity. It's not the smallest ITX case ever, but it is quite a practical case because you can fit big graphics cards in here and up to 280mm AIO coolers. So let's quickly take a look at how you get inside this case and some of the features. Side panels, really easy to remove all the side panels. They're just held on magnetically, the right hand and left hand side panel, so they easily pop off. No problem at all getting those off. There's no screws or anything holding them on. And they also have a dust filter in each of the side panels, so it's a nylon dust filter on a plastic frame and it clips in and out of the side panel really easy. Probably the better type of dust filter, those nylon filters. The other side panel comes off in exactly the same way, and it has the exact same steel side panel with lots of ventilation in both of these side panels and a dust filter which is removable. Again, it's a nylon dust filter on a plastic frame. Top panel's also really easy to remove. There's just a single thumb screw at the back. Just wind that thumb screw out and then just slide it back slightly and it releases. Again, it's a very open ventilated side panel, and it's got an incorporated dust filter in there. That dust filter is also removable. It's held in on a couple of magnets and it just slots into place and held in with the magnets. I like the thumb screw on here as well. It's a spring-loaded thumb screw, so it's captive in the actual panel and it's high quality. It looks a bit better than some of the regular thumb screws you'd find in a case. Front panel also removes too. You can see there's a couple of sections on the front panel, so at the bottom it's quite open with some mesh on there. You've got the front I/O connectivity down here too. On there you've got a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port and 2 USB 3.0 Type A ports and a combined 3.5mm audio jack. There's also the power button and reset button on the front panel. This front panel is also removable if you want to take it apart. There's just a screw in the side and then it slides to the side and can be removed. The reason you might want to remove that is to put this panel on instead and install the optional 3.9-inch LCD screen in there. We're not using that though for this build. We're keeping it nice and simple. You can also remove this bottom part that just slides upwards and then it comes off. But again, there's not much reason, I don't think, for removing that. I guess just for cleaning and maintenance purposes, but that does remove. Thermaltake calls this a dual chamber ITX case because it does have two chambers. In this side you would install the graphics card, nothing else, just the graphics card in there, and then the other side it's a motherboard, power supply. If you're running an AIO, it will be installed in this panel. There's a few screws just to remove this, so take out the 4 screws and then that top panel or the radiator and fan bracket that just lifts out, and you can see on here you can either install 220 or 240 millimeter fans, or up to a 280 millimeter AIO radiator, so you could install a 240 or a 120 or a 140 radiator on there. You see there's a decent amount of space between the top and the motherboard tray area, so you should fit a standard thickness 27 millimeter AIO and standard 25 millimeter thick fan on there without too much hassle. We'll find out obviously when we actually do a build in this case. Maximum graphics card length that can be installed in here is up to 360 millimeters long, and I'm going to be using this Sapphire Radeon RX 9070 XT Nitro Plus, and you can see that's quite a big card, but that fits in there no problem. The maximum width or the maximum thickness of graphics card you can install in here is up to 68 millimeters wide, and at the back there's 3 slots, so technically a 3 slot. You might be able to push a 3.5 slot card into here. And to make graphics card installation easier, if you are installing a long graphics card and it's quite tight, if you just remove a few screws from this rear panel and then a couple at the side, then that rear panel pops out and you can install the graphics card to this and then just slide it in first. But the graphics card we're using don't technically need to do that, but it probably is easier just to attach this to the card and then install it in all one piece. Also in this chamber where you install the graphics card, there's this sliding mechanism here. I believe that's just to hold the graphics card vertically so that it's straight in this chamber, so it doesn't, you know, bend backwards towards the motherboard tray. That's there, it's got a little bit of a foam on there, so if it is touching the graphics card you shouldn't get too much or any vibrational noise caused by it touching that bracket. It does slide all the way, and you can remove that if you want to, so you don't have to have that installed, but I guess it is just to keep the graphics card sitting straight in this chamber. Quick look at the back of the case. At the top you've got a vent up here. You will have the 3 PCIe slots there, a rear IO cutout for the motherboard, and then a connector there for a mains power cable. This uses a extension cable that extends from the back to the power supply. On here is the power supply bracket. This is also removable. As I said, it is only SFX or SFXL size power supplies you can install in here. So a couple of screws to loosen and remove, and then once you've got those screws removed, you can also remove the bracket for the power supply, and as I say, the mounting screws there for SFX power supplies. Then in there you can see the extension cable for the power supply that runs from the back and the motherboard tray. So the motherboard sits at the back here, and it's ITX motherboards only. There's no support for anything other than ITX motherboards. You've got some cables too here, so all the front IO cables there for USB and for HD audio. And then if you look in the floor of the case, that's also quite open and ventilated too, so graphics card will be able to exhaust some air, maybe out of the bottom, or even pull in some air from the bottom, but the main intakes are from the side, and then obviously an AIO or some fans exhausting from the top. In terms of storage support, so if you want to install a 2.5 inch drive, you can do. They mount on this side here, so you just pop them there and pop a couple of screws in there, just held in place with a couple of screws, one in each side, so you can install 2.5 inch SSDs, but there isn't any 3.5 inch drive support. So with this being a Thermaltake sponsored build, I will naturally be using some other Thermaltake products in the build. So the CPU cooler is this Thermaltake TH280 V2 ARGB Sync Matcha Green. You can pick this up on Amazon for under £110 currently. It features a microskived copper cold plate equipped with Thermaltake CT14 ARGB PWM fans, 360 degree rotating cap with an RGB infinity mirror design, and it's compatible with all current Intel and AMD desktop platforms. Another Thermaltake product used in the build will be the power supply, and it's the Thermaltake Tough Power SFX 850 watt Platinum ATX3. It's fully modular ATX3 and SFX 4.1 compliant, PCIe Gen 5 and 80 plus Platinum certified. It features a native 12 volt 2x6 PCIe connector and an SFX dimensions of 125 by 103.8 by 63.5 millimeter, and it comes with an ATX adapter bracket. For the rest of the system spec, the CPU is an AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D. Motherboard is an ASRock Phantom Game gaming B850i Lightning Wi-Fi. Graphics card is the Sapphire Radeon RX 9070 XT Nitro Plus, and for memory it's 32GB, so two 16GB modules of Thermaltake Tough RAM RGB D5 DDR5 5600. For storage it's a 1TB Corsair MP600 Elite PCIe Gen 4 x 4 NVMe M.2 SSD, and as we already know, the case is a Thermaltake TR100 in matcha green. So let's put all this lot together and see how it turns out. So the system's built, it's all up and running. You can see I've got the 3D Mark Speedway stress test running continuously in a loop. The system's running very quiet. Graphics card sat at about 60 degrees. The CPU is about 50 degrees. It's not under much load, but as you can hear, it is running nice and quiet. So if you choose a good graphics card with a good cooler on it, in this case, it should be able to run cool and quiet, which is good to know. If you open up the side panel, you can see really neat and tidy inside the motherboard and power supply side. In terms of the cable management, there's a few eyelets there for fastening the cables down to. The pre-routed cables seem to be in a good position and they all reach nicely to where you need them to be on the motherboard to connect them. And there's just the perfect amount of zip ties included with the case to make a decent job of the cable management, which is always good. And if I just spin it round to the other side with the graphics card in, you can see that's also really neat and tidy in there. This card is extra tidy looking because it's got hidden power cable design, which obviously makes it look really smart when it's installed. Space between the AIO and the graphics card, there's plenty of space. To be fair, Thermaltake could have made this case even shorter and still had enough space there between the AIO and the other components, which in some ITX cases like this, you're really tight and cramped for space. So it's quite an easy case to build in. Everything's laid out as you need it, that comes pre-installed, the cables and such like, and it's quite a simple case to build with compared to some of this type that can be a bit awkward. This is really nice to work with. It's one that I would use again for sure. So that's the Thermaltake TR100 Matcha Green build. Let me know what you think of the build and the case in the YouTube comment section. If you've enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to Kit Guru if you're not already subscribed. If you enjoy what we do here at Kit Guru and you want to help support us, you can always head over to our store and pick up some of our merch, or you could even subscribe to our Patreon. And as always, if you want to catch up on all the in-depth technical reviews, head over to the website.